President Trump is expected to make the most of his last few weeks in office. One area of executive power that he might take full advantage of is his ability to grant pardons. His prior pardons have stirred controversy, of course, and U.S. prosecutors, they're currently investigating whether Trump granted pardons in exchange for political contributions. Bloomberg legal reporter Eric Larson joins me now. Eric, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks for joining us on Quicktake. The New York Times reporting that Trump has spoken to advisors about granting pardons for his three eldest children and for Rudy Giuliani out of a fear that the Biden administration might target them. So help clear this up for me and for our viewers. How does this work since they haven't actually been charged with a crime?
Well, it's actually pretty, it's not too unusual. It is within the president's power of any president to issue pardons for crimes that have not actually been charged. They do have to have been committed. You can't pardon someone for crimes that are going to take place in the future. But if it's crimes or alleged crimes that have already taken place, you can pardon. In fact, that's how President Nixon was pardoned by Gerald Ford. Nixon hadn't actually been charged with anything, but he was nevertheless pardoned for anything related to the Watergate scandal. So it doesn't happen a lot, but it certainly is something that is within the realm of possibility for Trump and his children.
Okay, but this would only shield them from federal charges, right? If there were states if states were investigating them, for example, here in New York State, investigating actions of Trump family of companies, they would not be shielded from those, correct?
That is correct. Presidential pardons do not cover state crimes, and that is a big area of concern, I would imagine, for the Trump family, especially considering that the president has said that he does believe that this witch hunt against him will continue, as he calls it, after he leaves office, and that his family, he believes, will be unfairly targeted. So if it's true that he is considering these pardons for his children, it wouldn't be too surprising. But as you said, it would not cover any state crimes. And we do know that the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, has been looking into the Trump family dealings.
I'm wondering about, I know you're a legal reporter, but still this has political implications that would be far and wide. If we put on our prognosticator hats for a second and just think about political implications of doing this, what could we expect?
Well, there would certainly be a huge outcry from Democrats. They would be making similar claims that have been made after the president's earlier pardons and commutations involving Michael Flynn just recently, and of course, Roger Stone. These led to allegations of political, corrupt decision-making. A lot of times these pardons are issued when there's been a wrong committed, or when a president believes that someone was unfairly accused or something like that, or at least if the accused person has taken some amount of responsibility. Of course, in this case, that wouldn't be an element here. The president has issued pardons to people who just flat out do not believe that they did anything wrong. Michael Flynn, for example, had pleaded guilty twice to lying to FBI agents, and he just was pardoned. So it would be very unprecedented if this were to happen. And I think it also wouldn't be too surprising given what we know about President Trump and his willingness to push the boundaries of his presidential power in every way possible, especially if it means protecting his family.
And I think also he has a lot to learn from the silence from Republicans over the last few weeks about his attacks on the electoral system and to what extent that Republicans would actually or not be upset about this. Look, it might seem far-fetched, Eric, but can the president legally pardon himself in advance?
Well, you say it's far-fetched, but it doesn't seem to be far-fetched at all. It, of course, hasn't happened before, but the president's power to pardon is very, very broad. There is no prohibition on a president pardoning him or herself. So it is certainly something that could happen. But it also, you could see that it could be challenged in the courts. It may be one of those things that ultimately the Supreme Court has to clarify, just because it isn't really clear in the Constitution. And it wouldn't be the first time that the president has pushed his presidential authority in a way that forced the Supreme Court to make a decision that would clarify things.
Right. He certainly set a different type of precedent when it comes to presidential authority. Eric Larson in New York, thanks as always for your time and for joining us on Quicktake today. It's good to see you. Well, after the break, the Biden climate agenda will shape his legacy as investor support for green initiatives continue to gain traction. We'll be back in 2 minutes. This is Quicktake Charge.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quicktake now for insight in an instant.